Join our podcast conversation as we share ideas, insights, and information that will educate, inform, and inspire. We will blend our knowledge of online safety and emotional awareness to help you have a better understanding of your kids' online world and their emotional responses and well-being.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello, Paul. This is great. This is great to be together. Back
It's
in
been a
action.
while, but thankfully, now that our schedules are done, we can focus more on giving some knowledge to our listeners.
Yes. And today I'm excited by the fact that we're talking about why should I take a break from technology?
It's a great topic, and I think it's a timely topic, given the audience will be listening to this during summer, and it's something that I've lived by as a tech person, literally forever. I I don't say I brag, but I talk about how much tech I have to do certain projects, and people know that tech consumes my life, but it technically doesn't. You see, I have the tech, I utilize it, but I'm also able to walk away from it. And most
Mhm.
recently, a couple of days ago, just got back from 6 days without technology. Survived perfectly well without it. No social media, no updates. Now, I want to be full disclosure because, can you live with it permanently? My wife did have her smartphone. My daughter did call me and say, Dad, you've got a couple of voicemails. And I did respond to two voicemails because they were individuals who were in urgent need of some guidance. And that's okay. That's a phone call and that's
Mhm.
fine. But social media, off. Emails, off. Looking and reading for I was completely off. And everything turns out to be well. Yeah, you come back and you have a lot of DMs and you have a lot of emails to catch up on, but that's par for the course, right? But for the time that I was off, you get to absorb what's around you. You don't have to worry about
Mhm.
updating the world with what's happening. You don't have to worry about responding to text messages. You just worry about being in the now. And so
Mhm.
I got away with my wife for a couple of days and we were in the now. And that's what we absorbed. And
Mhm.
I love doing this. So I took about 6 days. Later on, I'll probably do 3 or 4 more days. And probably near the end of the summer, I'll probably do another 5 days. So I've always said to people, if someone who immerses himself in technology, can do it, I absolutely know that you can. And so whether you're a tech person because it's your business or because you're just a tech enthusiast or you just you can take a break. And a lot of parents actually do that with their kids and they share amazing stories about not being on technology for a week or 2 weeks. I know one principal, Sarah, uh, who's in the Windsor area. He takes his kids to a cabin for about 3 weeks every summer. There's no
Mhm.
electricity and they're just in the now. So people do it, and I believe in
Mhm.
it, and I think it's very therapeutic. If you'd like to, throw that word in there. What are your thoughts on
Yes,
that?
absolutely. I think there's another side of people, and some people might be listening thinking, "Oh my goodness, Paul, that sounds great in theory, and I want to do that. However, my job is not something where I can take 6 days off of checking my email." And for those people, I think what's good for us to acknowledge is maybe it's not a full 6 days. Maybe we could do one day during the weekend. If you have a job that say you have weekends off and you want those mindful in the moment present moments, like you were saying you did with your wife and you took 6 days off tech, well, maybe someone could just do one on Sunday. They could say, you know what, I'm not doing any tech. And I think there's also a lot of power in that one day. Or I'm even going to take it a step further for the people who are also thinking, oh my goodness, Sarah, now you're saying one day. I can't do one day yet. Maybe they could set up boundaries where it's no tech in the morning. I remember you and I talking about that no tech in the morning challenge, or no tech at lunchtime. You could start taking tech breaks and have a maximum time that you're going to be on tech, say within one day. So say you do have to use tech for work, and there is times where you have to check an email outside of work. maybe you do a time frame of an allowance of how much you're going to do, and then you say, but I'm not going to go on social media because I don't actually need that for work. So then having those boundaries and breaks, maybe for the people who are like, oh, 6 days sounds glorious. However, maybe I need to start somewhere.
I like your strategy, and I would start off with a hard discipline of one day. I like your idea
Yeah,
of
that's
going
good.
at least Sunday. We're all busy. Sarah, you run a business, I run a business, but
Mhm.
most Saturdays and Sundays, I don't respond to emails. I will glance at them. If there's something urgent,
Mhm.
it's a parent in distress, they need help. You know what? Yeah, I'll get to it. Otherwise, most people know that I respond Monday to Friday. I get a lot of emails saying, Paul, thanks for your quick reply. That's because I was at my computer, it popped up, I was able to reply. But do you know that I always respond with the answer and then, oh, by the way, I was on my computer, but normally expect the reply from me within about 24 hours? So
Right.
I like to condition um, my the individuals I communicate with that, look, I'm going to get to you. You're very important to me. It may be in a day. Um,
It might not be instant.
Correct. Now, do I
Mhm.
respond sometimes within seconds? Literally, if I'm on my computer and it's 11 o'clock at night and
Oh, it's
I'm
easy.
unable to sleep, an email comes in, I respond. But I don't even want them to respond after that because you're up, you should be in bed. But I do it
Yeah.
because I'm a night owl. But having said that, weekends, it's something I've always put in place that, you know what,
Mhm.
give yourself a break. And I tell principals who I know, who I become friends with, you need a mental health break for you and your family on the weekend. Your
Mhm.
students are important to you, so is your staff, so are the parents. I respect all that. But you need to help yourself. So take a break, commit
Mhm.
yourself Monday to Friday. It could be from 6 a.m. until midnight. That's your choice. But give yourself the weekend. So for those listening, at the very least, give yourself that one day. Make it a Sunday. Make it a Saturday.
Mhm.
You pick the day where you're
Mhm.
not going to look at an email. You're not going to look at a social media post. You're going to be in the
Especially
now.
social media, right? Like, especially
Yeah.
because you can get consumed in a rabbit hole of scrolling and checking out what other people are doing, and that can be inspiring. It could inspire you to do something, which is wonderful, but it can also do the opposite, being like, "Oh my gosh, their weekend looks way more fun than mine." And you can get right into a rabbit hole of oh, like that comparison brain where you don't feel good enough or you don't feel like you're doing enough family things or what have you, instead of when that's not on, you're just being mindfully in the moment with whatever activity you're choosing to do with yourself or your family or a friend or a loved one. And I think there's power in that mindful presence. And as soon as we pick up the device and we start looking at social media, that can be a whole new realm of triggering different thoughts and opinions that are not allowing us to be mindful in the moment and activity. And that can very much also hinder relationships.
Yes.
Remember, you look at people, and I've talked to many friends in my life where their partner will be what they feel like is constantly on their phone. I've also caught myself checking my phone and someone is talking to me, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that is so incredibly rude right now." Unless you've warned the person, like, "Oh, I just gotta check this." But if someone is interacting with you and then all of a sudden the device goes on, not only are you not being mindful in the moment, but what are you telling that other person? You're saying whatever's happening on my phone is more important than what you're saying. So that's something to also be conscious of, is that taking a break and setting up boundaries on tech don't just impact you, they impact the relationships and people around you.
One of the best examples of that is at a restaurant. And you're with your significant other, you're with family, you're with a business partner. You're talking, you're engaging. You spend time with each other. The minute that phone goes off, you've just communicated, hey, you know what? That's more important than you are. You're listening to someone's conversation. All of a sudden, you take your eyes off, got it to the phone, pick it up, and acknowledge that versus the person who gave their time to be with you,
Right.
or that very little precious family time you have together to be in the now. And people pick that up. This
Mhm.
morning, I was having conversation with, I was walking my dog, and there was another mother in the street walking the dog. She happens to be a teacher as well. And we're just talking. So, how are your kids? How are my kids? And the one thing we said was, because of their ages now, they have jobs, they're post high school education, they're very busy. So now for us to find time as a family, let's say to go out for a dinner, we have to work around schedules, which
Hmm.
in some cases sad, but that's life. So
Yeah.
when we make that effort, we better appreciate that, because all those opportunities we had 5, 10 years ago, when our kids were young, we'd say, hey, let's pick up and you know go for a burger somewhere. And you had that time. Were you on your phone, or did you take it in, because that time's going to run away from you really
Yeah. Did
quickly?
you take the payphone in with you back in the day? No, it was outside. It was
No, you
outside
brought.
waiting for you when you needed to make a call.
I actually remember, I remember people leaving conversations at tables when, remember, we had pagers, and the pager would beep, and
Oh, pagers.
it would be a piercing beep, and they'd literally get up and go to the payphone or
Like,
look for a
oh,
local phone.
yeah.
So it's kind of evolved from that, but now it's right there. So our whole point is, be in the now with those people in
Hmm.
front of you.
Hmm.
Technology can wait. Look, if you're a doctor on call, I respect that. You're a
Hmm.
firefighter, you're a police. You know what? Your um, requirement immediately, I get all that. I really do. But we all are busy. We all have
Hmm.
this, component of importance. I respect that. But be in the now with your family, because
Hmm.
as I know very well, as a father of girls who have, just left high school, that time is going to fly by. And if you
Hmm.
don't appreciate it, you will regret it later on. And then
Hmm.
after the fact, when you do have that time, be in the now. Put the devices away, talk to
Hmm.
each other, I love people watching. It's great talking
Do
to
you
your
watch a
family.
lot of people on their phone? Like just
You
the other
would
day, I
not
was
believe.
at Canada's Wonderland and we were just stopping to get something to eat. And I was with my mom, my niece, my son, and I. There was a table and they were young in their teens, and all of them weren't, three of them were on their phones. One wasn't, but she had no one to talk to. Like even my son made a comment. He's like, "Well, who's she going to talk to because they're all on their phones?" And they were all just sitting there eating on their phone. And I was watching because I thought, well, you know what? Maybe you're just all looking up something. Maybe you've said, "Oh, quickly look at this video," and we'll all look at it. Was Paul, the whole time we sat there, they didn't talk. So it wasn't just a moment, because I think, okay, someone could glance over at me, and in this moment, it looks like I'm out for lunch with my mom, who I also work with, and we're constantly checking things, emails or something on social media, or something work related. And if someone peeked over, they might be like, "Oh, look at she's out with her mom and she's on her phone. She's so rude."
Right.
So I get that. However, it's a fleeting moment. It's not where I'm on it for 30 or even 13 minutes without engaging or saying, "Okay, look at this. This is what we have to do." So it's not even about, and I'm not even doing it as a judgment. I'm doing it as an observation. It's like that you're observing that there's so many people that aren't present in the moment. And Canada's Wonderland is a pretty exciting place. It's not like you're so bored there.
Right.
I hope that
Right.
you're like, okay, my phone's better. So I think what I take away from that is how much we lose the present moment. And our brain does its best work and creates so many amazing memories in the present moment. But you have to be in that moment. So whether that's putting away your phone and saying, okay, I can't do it for the whole day, but I'm going to do it for this lunchtime,
Right.
and and setting it up so that you have time to be mindfully present. Because I think what ends up happening is it overflows into other areas of your life where maybe you don't have your phone, but you're still not able to be present. Your mind is still going every single direction that is not what is in front of you, but it's everything else that you think you need to do or get done. And one of the greatest ways to bring your mind back to the present moment is practicing deeper mindful breathing. So like putting your phone down, taking some just even 3 really mindful breaths, 4 in, 5 out, allows your brain to say, oh, we're right here. So if you notice your brain is really wandering, because we naturally do have a wandering brain, and phones aren't helping that. 'Cause now we're
Right.
pulled down so many different directions. To bring that wandering brain back to this moment, practice those 3 deep mindful breaths and then say, okay, now I'm putting my phone down. But first be mindful of even that your brain is going everywhere and your phone's not helping that. So the deep breathing brings your brain back to the moment where you can say, oh my goodness, look at me. I've been scrolling for the last 20 minutes mindlessly. I'm going to put my phone down. I'm going to have lunch.
The stories you shared about Wonderland, observing other people, I could literally write a book on, because as I have my breaks from speaking to students and then speaking to parents, I'll go and hang out at a cafe and I wait and I do my emails and I catch up, but I observe everyone around. I see it over and over again. And like you, I keep saying, okay. And you could, if you see it happening once, we're all business people. It could be a business meeting. But when you see it consistently over and over again, there's something to it. And so my concern is, and again, I'm not a psychologist, is that we don't have the ability to effectively communicate because we're always communicating through a text message, which is the worst form of communication, or through that partial post on Snapchat when we take and communicate,
Right.
versus the human interaction piece. Like some of these kids at Wonderland, and I was a seasons pass holder up until a couple of years ago, because not too far, I would be there all the time. I love the ride, watch people, but
We should do a podcast from there.
which
Sorry, just
Canada's Wonderland, if you wish to be a sponsor of our podcast, this is a
yeah.
we actually should, and would be a great idea. We should interview a lot of the individuals or say, hey guys, what are you doing right now? It's your lunch, right? What are we checking up on? You guys run a business? Are you guys doing any schoolwork? No, you're summer break, right? So you should be with each other.
We're going on the road, Paul. That's what we're doing. Now we're on the road with the podcast. I'm going to have a microphone. I'm going to be like, oh, nope. And then I'm going to ask a question. This is going to be amazing. But then you were saying we're taking the show on the road, everyone. So just stay tuned. But yeah, you're saying about, and I interrupted with our awesome idea that now we're going to obviously do.
Of course.
But you were saying you're a season's pass holder at Canada's Wonderland, and you'd observe this. Imagine how many people have lost their phones on a ride. I bet you that's happened quite a bit.
I asked that question, I think, in maybe 5 years. I think I've asked it 2 or 3 times, and they can't keep up. I would ask park officials, how many phones do you find on a regular?
Oh, and we've lost Paul. Oh, you're back.
I'm back. I've asked that question at Canada's Wonderland. I've asked that question at Sunshine. You know that the hill in Banff, the ski hill?
Okay, yes.
Endless phones on the ski hill.
They say it right on the ride. Like, don't, no, but everyone's taking a selfie.
Well, just go to YouTube and you'll see, or just go to TikTok, and you'll see people recording themselves on the rides at Wonderland. So many of those phones. Here's the problem with doing that, by the way. Besides losing your phone and smashing it, if that phone leaves your hands and it hits the person behind you at the rate of speed that it's going, it's literally going to be a concussion. But the point is, phones are being lost all the time. Back in the day, nightclubs, I used to find cell phones at nightclubs. I remember speaking to one bouncer. It was in Las Vegas at a club in the Bellagio Hotel. And I always ask questions about this kind of stuff. This is going back maybe about 13 to 15 years ago. And he said, do yourself a favor. Keep your eyes on the ground. He said, you'll walk out of here with at least 3 to 4 to 5 phones. I said, you're kidding. Goes, nope, we find them all the time. So, when I say live in the now, put your device away and just live in the now, because the other concern is that when that device is gone, all those memories that you captured and they're all gone, and also a privacy concern. So one thing I've always challenged students on is live like you were a Gen Xer, which is what I am. And what I mean by that is when we were growing up, we developed memories because we had no technology. And
Right.
those memories can only be shared now with those that we connect with. Hey, remember that time in high school? Yeah, I do. And then you get to share those memories and you get to relive them in your head. I tell kids, go and develop memories without any devices so that that memory is exclusively for you and that group of individuals that you were there with. So the memories that you make on a phone, which are probably 99% of the time, leave it away, make memories in your head. And then when you see those individuals in a month, a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, talk about it. You'll bring smiles back to your face because it will invoke an emotion of you being there because you're feeling it versus you're glancing at it and it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, I remember. But when you talk about it, you feel it. And
Right.
here's the best
And
part.
this is mhm.
Sorry, here's the best part.
Yeah.
And if something embarrassing happens, you know who's only going to
No
know?
one's
The people that were there. And the best part is
right.
you can deny it and say, yeah, that never happened. There's no evidence, right?
Yeah.
So you can have fun with that. I've always believed in developing those memories without a device. And I try and encourage kids as a challenge. One activity you do this summer, make it device free, go and develop memories and then share them. Share them with who you
Right.
believe deserve them, right?
And that's good for us adults to model to kids because it's just so
1000%.
right. So it's so convenient. And let's just talk about the impact too much tech and not allowing yourself to set up a boundary and hold it, even though we're not calling it easy, but
Hmm.
possible. You start with the no tech in the morning, start with no tech at lunchtime. You'll work your way up to the solid 1 day on the weekend, and start to be observant of the impact it has on your mental well-being. Because there's really big links done to heightened anxiety
Hmm.
and that whole like, oh, I gotta check. Oh my goodness, okay, there's this going on. Oh my goodness, look how much fun they're having. Like we've got to have more fun than did they respond to me? And you know better than even I do, but I know from working with youth and having nieces is the impact Snapchat, that instant knowing where somebody is, knowing, oh, they snapped me. Oh, I got to get back to them. Oh my goodness, I opened it by accident. Now they're going to see I opened it. Now I got to get back. Like there's a lot of mental and emotional pressure
Hmm.
that you don't even realize you might be absorbing, and to take a break, but knowing that sometimes us adults, guardians, parents have to be the one to enforce that break when it comes to our kids and for us to model it. This is going to be helpful for their mental well-being. Like taking a break from social media and taking a break from tech isn't saying I'm getting rid of it. It's saying I'm setting up boundaries, and the
Correct.
impact is huge for the benefit of your mental well-being. I even know, Paul, for myself as an adult, when I get too wrapped up into, oh my gosh, I got to post that. No, I haven't done a reel in a while. And I have to take a breath and say, Sarah, you're allowed to take a break. You're allowed to not post. You're allowed to not comment. You're allowed to, that's really important for your well-being. And again, enjoying things in the real time, creating different relationships, modeling to your kids. And just on a side note, do you find when you take a break from technology, you get more stuff done than you were putting off on your to-do list? Like when I'm distracted with too much tech, I even find it takes me longer to cook dinner. It takes me longer to get something done, or because I can easily go to check something on Instagram and 20 minutes can go by in a snap.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct in that when you do take those breaks, you're more focused on the other tasks at hand. Because if you've mentally blocked out that you have to go and check on email, you don't want to post something, you will complete those tasks quicker. But when you're always thinking, all right, let me stop this, go back, and it's happened to me. You lose a lot of time and you come back and it's prolonged the whole process of completing that task because you do
Mhm.
get wrapped up in the length of the email, what you're scrolling on. So when you
Hmm.
say, you know what, I'm done for the day, everything else, and just the on side note, it seems like when you're relaxing, let's say you're in the backyard taking in some sun, it seems to take a long time for that day to go by because you're just in the now, you're just relaxing
Yes.
versus your mind is always moving. So you might actually open your eyes in 20 minutes and say, or sorry, an hour and say, that's it, just an hour. It seems like I've been here the whole day. That's good. We want more of
Mhm.
that. And I've,
And sometimes doing less is what actually helps calm your nervous
for
system,
sure,
not filling it with yeah.
of all the parents, and every summer parents will share stories with me on my Facebook page about how they disconnected from tech. I have yet to read one negative comment that said, Paul, we disconnected for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And here's what happened to my child. All the stories are positive, how their child changed attitude, how they were less
Oh, yeah.
anxious. Like all this, and I can write a book on all those stories because I save them from parents thinking this is great. This is something I would love to share later on about. Look, when you take a break, there's
Mhm.
nothing negative that comes from it. Yes, the first day or two, might they feel anxiety because they're so used? Yeah, you know what? Expect it. But then watch the turnaround, watch the change, see how positive it is. And you'll ask yourself, why didn't I do this sooner? I have yet to receive one negative comment about disconnecting from tech and how it's negatively impacted that child. So all the stuff that I've seen has been positive, but
Mhm.
parents, you have to want to do it because although you can tell your child to do it, remember, they're a kid. You need to be there to say, look, I'm enforcing this. I'm not being mean. You're a kid and you're going to have the temptation. So if I take the temptation away from you, you'll be fine. And they're okay. And a lot of kids haven't even yelled at saying, why are you doing this to me? They just accept it. Why? Because we're parents and we're allowed to. And the kids know, all right, they're doing it for a reason. I may not agree with it. They're doing it. And all of a sudden they realize this wasn't so bad. I'm actually okay with it.
And especially if you're doing it with them. And
A
then you're
1,000%.
creating, right? And then you're creating, okay, this is the activity we're going to do. And you can even start by saying, okay, we're going to go out for lunch, but everyone's going to leave their phone, right? Or this is what we're going to do at night when we watch a movie, and we're going to, put our phones away. I can remember I was talking to one teen, and she said it's so annoying because my mom will say to me, let's watch a show, and she'll bring her phone. And she's like, and I know that she's not just doing work. I can see, like a friend texts her and then she's quickly getting back to her. And she's like, it's just so frustrating. And it was interesting to hear a teen say that about the parent,
Yeah.
because we often hear parents say that about the kids,
Hmm.
but I have found a lot of kids are also open to be present in the moment if you're going to interact with them and there's connection. And that's not to say again that we're saying never use tech. It's like you're a big promoter of tech, and it's going to be part of our lives, and it's an
Hmm.
important part that can do wonderful things. But setting up boundaries when it comes to tech is very important. And there's more and more research being done on the impact that it has on well-being, relationships, not to mention sleep. You're a big advocate of no tech in the bedrooms.
Nope.
Even my husband and I, we will not take our phones in the bedroom unless there's something where like we need it for the alarm clock because our alarm clock is on the fritz or something like that. But I think that that's a really important one because what you're looking at, and I have found this, if I'm on tech right before I go to sleep, it impacts my sleep.
Absolutely.
Also, I was reading something that when you're on it first thing in the morning, it's some, and I don't know the technical terms, but it sets off some chemicals in your brain that have you keep wanting to check in. Like how you start your day matters. And if you start on tech, there's a good chance that you're going to use tech more often through the day.
I think we commented on one of our previous podcasts for the first 30 minutes of your day, you should be
Right.
tech free, meaning get up, make
Do a
breakfast,
little,
get dressed,
yeah,
brush your teeth. And once you've,
mindful breathing,
exactly,
meditation,
yes.
maybe.
And once you've taken care of you, now start with the tech versus it letting the tech dictate how. I mean, imagine waking up and getting an email which is causing you some stress. When you go into the shower, it should be obviously for cleansing, but it should be that time for it's me, all right. And then you're brushing your teeth. But if you're doing all that in the back of your head, you've got that email lingering, you just start off your day horribly. So that
Right.
first 30 minutes,
And you're
1,000.
groggy and you're trying to open your eyes and read the.
Exactly. Well, I know I won't be using tech next week when I go and see Mission Impossible because I'm going to be in the now. I'm hearing great reviews of the movie. I've always been a Mission Impossible fan. I'm going to be there. There's going to be no tech. I'm going to absorb the
So you're not
movie.
going to be there taking selfies of yourself
No,
watching.
no,
This is me watching. This is me
no.
watching Mission
I
Impossible.
I know where else there
Ambulance.
won't be any tech. When you and I have lunch coming up, I know we're going to be sitting there. Our phones will be
Yes.
next to us, but we won't
We'll
probably
take
touch them
one
until
photo.
we're going to take one photo. But otherwise, we're going to be in the now. We're going to catch up because we haven't seen each
Yes.
other in a year. And that's what I love. And I think that's
Yes.
important. And yeah, we'll take that one selfie because we want to share it with everyone that we got
Yeah.
together. Otherwise, we'll be in, we'll probably have to look at it to check for timing in case, we have to go. Otherwise, we'll be in the now.
No.
So you can do it. I know this because Sarah and I are business owners. We can do it. We're tech enthusiasts. We can do it, which means there's a good probability that you listening at home can do it as well. So let's wrap up with
Yes.
put your mind to it. You
And
have
be
the ability to do
mindful
it.
of it.
Yes.
Yeah, and be mindful of it because I don't think you can switch anything you won't acknowledge. So if you're listening and you're thinking, you know what? Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm scattered, I'm not present in the moment, there's too much tech going on, it's interrupting my relationships, or I've had lunch with someone and I was so on my phone, I totally missed really what the experience could have been. If any of that resonates with you, just be aware of it because in awareness, you can change. But until you're aware of it, you don't change it.
Exactly.
So this is a good moment to say, okay, does this resonate with me? And what could I do? What boundary could I set? And if it creates a lot of emotions around the boundary, you know me, Paul, you know me, be with that. Notice it.
Yeah.
Notice that, that you sometimes get a little bit anxious when you think about not being on your phone, and take those deep breaths and say, but this is my end result, this is what I want to do, because I know in the end it is going to be more beneficial to my overall well-being and setting a different example for those people in my life, that you can take a break. And I'm going to take a deep breath when I start to feel anxious that I don't have my phone, and know that all is well. Like you said, everything was well, even though you didn't check your phone all the time when you were away those days with your wife, and you create great memories.
1000%. Until next time.
Till you see us at Wonderland with my microphone going around, and we're going to be on the wet rides and everything. Like on the ride, we'll be, hey, excuse me, what do you think about taking a break from your cell phone that you
If there's
currently are taking a selfie with?
If there's one pet peeve I have many, is walking
Can't wait.
around after a ride that's all wet in wet clothing. I can't stand that. So I'm gonna have to pass on that one. If you wish to
No,
do that part
I
of
have
the
a
podcast
solution.
yourself, go ahead, knock yourself out. I'm gonna be off.
I have a solution. And my family and I did this.
Okay.
We bought dollar store ponchos. Boom. Yeah, we were the only ones with them. Did people think, oh, that's silly? Maybe. Did they think, oh, that's smart? Probably. We didn't get wet. We went on it 6 times, Paul.
Brilliant.
Poncho, best $1.25 my sister said she's ever spent.
Versus $10 at the park, because I've seen that.
Dollar store. But until next time, why should you take a break from technology? Connection, mental well-being.
Love it.
See you soon for lunch. And until next time, this is what we know.
This is what we know.